While the Others Sleep by Tom Becker. Prologue. Spark of Light. It began with a whisper, a secret shared in the hush of midnight. It began with a rasp of a match and a spark of light in the darkness. It began with a hint of a smile on a child's face. The floor of the parlour was strewn with torn book pages, which ruffled softly as the child knelt down. Slowly, with the solemn tenderness of a mourner laying flowers at a grave, they lowered the fizzing match. There was a crackle as the pages caught, a curling and blackening of sepia. The child's mischievous breath played upon the flame, coaxing it across the paper, and within seconds the fire was spreading across the floor. Bare feet padded out of the room, and the parlour door closed with a satisfied click. Left alone to plot and scheme, the flames crept along the wooden skirting boards, clambering up curtains and clinging onto the bookshelves. Within minutes the room was choked with smoke, gathering in rage. The fire erupted from the parlour with a snarl, stalking into the corridor outside and making for the staircase with a dark, violent intent. The smell of burning carried up to a box room at the top of the stairs, where a slumbering attendant awoke with a start. He hurriedly buttoned up his shirt and raced out of his room, swearing loudly at the sight of the fire roaring up the stairs. The attendant ran along the landing, banging on doors, his cries of alarm drawing the other adults from their rooms. They fled, shrieking from the onrushing flames, stumbling and coughing down the back stairs and out into the safe embrace of the night air. There the woman broke down and sobbed upon the lawns, while the men watched helplessly as the fire devoured their possessions. Amid the crackle of flames and groan of timbers, a back door opened in the distant west wing of the building. A host of pale spectres came floating out upon the breeze, small figures in white nightshirts. They had forgotten about the children. Biting back oaths, the attendants hurried across the grass and began herding the children away from the house, their gruff barks masking guilt at having left their charges to fend for themselves. At the top of the slope, looking out over the lake, the inhabitants of Scarbrook House came together, doctor and patient, adult and child, and watched, united in their bewilderment, as the building's east wing succumbed to the flames. A hasty summit was called, during which one of the doctors volunteered to cycle down to the local village for help. An argument broke out amongst the men, with several of them pointing fingers at a portly, whiskered man in a nightshirt and sleeping cap. "Well, what on earth would you have me do?" he retorted angrily. "The nearest fire brigade is over 20 miles away in London. Do you think we can put this out with buckets of water? Until the men come from the village, there's little we can do but pray that the fire burns itself out." Whilst the adults argued, the children appeared overwhelmed by the blaze. Some milled around in a daze, others sat down on the grass and picked daisies, singing softly to themselves. Others capered gleefully, their faces turning on impish red in the fiery glow. One boy burst into sudden howls of laughter, bending double at some unexplained hilarity until his breath between wheezes and sobs racked his body. There was a loud crash of falling masonry, and a stream rent the night sky. A girl with tumbling black hair broke away from the other children and ran towards the knot of doctors, a tall, good-looking boy on her heels. "Someone's still inside!" she cried. "You have to save them!" The portly man with the whiskers shook his head. "We've done a full head count. There's no one in the building." "But the screams!" The boy stepped forward and gently grasped her arm. "It's the horses," he said quietly. "The fire's reached the stables." Another shriek joined the first, then another. The girl paled. She found herself wishing that the flames could burn even louder and roar with greater ferocity. Anything to block out the horses' screams. There were piercing screeches torn from inhumane throats, terrible hymns of searing pain and charred flesh. As the adults listened, grim-faced, some of the children joined in, throwing back their heads to add their own banshee shrieks and wolf howls, filling the air with an unholy chorus of anguish. The dark-haired girl shuddered and turned away, shrugging off her companion's attempts to comfort her. Away from the others in the shadows, by the entrance to the rock garden, two smaller figures stood in silence. The girl shrank back from the inferno, her face drenched with an unspoken horror. She clutched the rag doll tightly to her chest. Burying her face in its hair as the last area from the stables died away. Beside her, the boy watched him impassively, his large round eyes betraying no flicker of emotion. "It's all right," he said soothingly. "There's nothing to fear. The fire can't hurt you now." As the boy raised his hand to shield his eyes from the glare, he noticed a dark smudge on the end of his fingertip. He carefully brushed the residue away, aware of the telltale scent of a burnt match. "If you just stay close to me," the boy continued, wrapping an arm around the girl, "I'll take care of you."